So I want to make clear to the ascension world, those that claim to be Pleiadian, those that claim that a better life is happens, or peace and no sickness and no wars and all of that happen when you enter into the light, into the other side. And actually, and if you don't believe people should live indefinitely and that is not your goal on this earth, you've put a limitation on your lifespan. Like you've put down a number. Well, if I do this type of operation, do this type of thing, I might buy myself 10, 20 years maybe. And that's a speculation. You're not guaranteed if you do an operation or if you do some kind of protocol that it's going to guarantee you or even give you a potential of 10 or 20 years or even 5 years for that matter. It might give you 6 months. There is no way of knowing. So if you have been told by your friends and family and by your different political groups and by your ascension artists out there that peace and prosperity and 100% amazing health happens off this planet, you have been subject to the depopulation agenda. You have been brainwashed to look forward to self-destruction. You have been actually self-destructed. Now it's just a matter of how fast can you accelerate it, and then how easy for you to embrace that. Because I've seen through my years in the conspiracy world and exploring all the different groups out there, I mean, this is like Facebook is so much better than high school or junior high because I have access to all these different groups and their ideologies and their thought processes and their verbiage, and I'm able to try it on and see what they're saying, see what they're doing, and then I'm able to then remember what they're saying and doing and use that as data to see, okay, oh my God, they're all saying the same thing but in different ways. But the end result is they're all looking forward to death. They're all looking forward to basically getting off this earth. Oh, I can't wait to go back home. I can't wait. Come on, hurry up, rapture. Come on, hurry up. Second coming of something. Oh, come on, hurry up. Alien invasion. Hurry up, ascension. Whatever it is. Those that are looking forward to getting off this earth have been subject to the depopulation agenda. And that is a MK Ultra, or also known as psychological operations, psychological manipulations, CIA induced. I mean, where humans are humans have to be programmed. You've heard of Nietzsche and you've heard of the nihilists, right? The ones that say that life is empty and meaningless, that only humans can put a purpose to life. Humans, and right, I mean, humans have the ability to put their own purpose, but it's more than just that. It's more than just applying a purpose and manufacturing a purpose. It's about living. It's about understanding that your life is your purpose. How that manifests is based upon what other ways you can configure elements and how you use your brain and how you use all the different chemical properties at your disposal to then convert energy into sound, into smell, into taste, into feelings, but not too much feelings, because that means that if you have too many feelings, that's an imbalance. But human potential and human life is based upon your ability to stay on this earth indefinitely, not look forward to dying. But that's what these ascension artists, these people say, oh yeah, be careful. Someone's saying like, be careful anyone that says that they think that indefinite life on this earth is the best way to be and all of that, because nobody lives forever. Nobody lives indefinitely. People should not be focusing on avoiding death. Well, you know what avoiding death is? Called life. Yeah, you should be like looking forward to life. Why anyone would be looking forward to death is like part of a cult. That's a cultish freaking manifest. That is like the most. That is the big. What is that? That is the epitome of a freaking cult. Is when you are looking forward to death and rationalizing it. And then speculating that if you do this procedure, if you do this pill, if you do this type of protocol, if you fast, if you do this, it's going to buy you 20 years. It's going to buy you 5 years, buy you 10 years. How the hell can you put a number? How the hell can you even base what you're going to do today on what someone else did back then? How can you base any type of speculation on how long you would be able to live? Why even put a number? Why put a limitation on your lifespan? Why the hell would you do that? That is a cultish death cult example. And it's all over not only mainstream society, but all in the ascension world, the spiritual crystal healing world. They're all about depopulation. All about depopulation. Oh, I can't wait. Even the religious world. I can't wait for the rapture, the rapture, the rapture. Okay. That means what? You're just going to be now a pile of clothes on the ground? Oh yeah, all the sinful people are going to be left on the earth, and all the people who are holy and beautiful are going to be going off into outer space and floating around as if that is a death programming. That is the depopulation agenda if it lives and speaks right there. When somebody is promoting you leaving your meat suit and looking forward to leaving this earth, whether it's just body and mind and your spirit is just floating around, or whether it's all of those together and you're just like, well, I just won't exist anymore. We're not supposed to live. That is a depopulation agenda. That's the ultimate depopulation agenda. And then the nihilists who are like, well, I'm just going to forego any religion, any morality, any type of, organized type of way and just live in this nothingness. That's also a depopulation agenda. And that's being taught in psychology, Friedrich Nietzsche, all these different, philosophers that are coming from an aging and degrading body. You cannot vote in a peaceful consciousness on a body that is at war with itself, dying and disintegrating. So anyone out there, past philosophers who have this whole thing about what life is and what life means, it's all fucking bullshit, because guess where it came from? It came from a disintegrating body. You're taking philosophy, you're taking people's meanings of life on bodies that are dying, aging, and degrading. So guess what? No wonder we have more of the same. What is insanity? What's the example of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. The same thing is taking cues from people who are dying and disintegrating and who believe people should die. But now it's dressed up in different words. It's being reinvented with different traditions, new religions. What else? More cults, more medicines, more protocols. Another guru. And then I realized just the other day how much I love landmark education, but they came out of the 1960s spiritual cult gurus. They still, when I called it, when I was, what clued me in that landmark education was still part of the mainstream cult. Now I love landmark because they really gave me a good kick in the pants of this information, but they have plateaued and they've stopped somewhere. I'll tell you where they stopped. When I called up landmark to say that, hey, I want to write about you in my book or talk about you in some way, and I was trying to call their media department, and they're like, oh, they're all being sensitive because they've been already construed as a cult because, yes, they came out of the 1960s, right? Werner Erhard was one of their spiritual gurus. And I was talking about the Jilly Juice and how Jilly Juice could be potential life, reverse and all this. And then the lady on the other end of the phone was saying, are you a doctor? Are you a doctor? And I'm just like, my antenna, my radar went up. I'm like, oh my God, hold on a second. But I didn't really make that connection that they were still part of the mainstream, part of that brainwashing process of psychological operations. They'll give you enough information to get you out of your rut, but they won't give you all the information to have you then really understand what life is and what death is. So even landmark education, who I really revered for so many years, is still part of the 1960s psychological operations, where all the spiritual gurus and the cults and all the different LSD and hallucinations and all these different things that were being used and tested upon the population, that's where they came from. They had a bad reputation way back in the 1970s because they were very militant back then, and then they've tempered everything down, made for the 2000s, but their roots came from the psychological operations. It's still a self-destruct, but they want you to, find a different way to get to the same result, which is, are you going to be getting up every single day, going to work, trying to make society better, Finding a different way to say the same thing, trying to find, create another context, because that's what university is how do you create different contexts and sell it? How do you create the same context but make it like it's different, and then find a way to sell it to the masses who really have no idea history or even how words separate or even the root of words, the derivative of words. That's what basically university is reselling, repackaging the same shit with different words, repackaging it. Contextology, context engineering. And that's what Landmark is doing, as well as every other freaking motivational course out there. People synergistically involved, you know, whatever else that people are going are Tony Robbins. Let's just call a spade a spade. Tony Robbins, whatever Kawasaki, Dale Carnegie. I mean, come on, you name any guru out there, motivational speaker, whoever, whether it's part of an MLM or some kind of selling you an idea. It's all the repackaged shit. And guess what the end result is? It's self-destruct. Here, spend your 20 years sacrificing your blood, sweat, and tears for this company, for this idea, for this depopulation agenda, and then die at the end. And we'll help you die with a smile. That's a cult, is when you are still promoting death as the end result. But hey, in the meantime, give us all your money, give us all your minerals, give us all your energy, give us your firstborn. We'll like pepper you with pretty words and great feelings of camaraderie and groupthink and family. And then in the end, you die alone, you die anyways, and you die in pain. That's exactly what a cult is. And they're all predicated on love and hate and tantric. Let's play with your hormones. Oh my God, it's insane. So in reality, when you think about it, when you are promoting living indefinitely in body, mind, and spirit on this earth, it is anything but a cult. It is anything but a cult. Oh, not a cult. That was bad. That was bad. When you're promoting death and everything, or when you're promoting life, it's anything but a cult. Yeah, it is not a cult. JJ's will never be a cult because it promotes life. And so, when you are promoting death, then it's nothing but a cult. When you promote life, it is anything but a cult. So, yeah, I'd make sure I had to put those two together because it as above, so below can be very, very confusing. Because you got to understand that the actual specific outcome is what is the actual true characterization of the intention. And so psychological manipulations is taking the same thing and redressing it. And that's why you're seeing, fashion and ideas and things are all the same stuff. It's just been repackaged. The off-gridders to the communes to, the doomsdayers to all. I mean, and I knew as I, look back in the 1960s and 1950s, I mean, we really don't have that many years to look back on because America is only 300 years old. And there's probably like 6 different generations. 6 different generations in the span of America as far as it being in its inception. That's not a lot of generations. That's a lot of recycling the same freaking ideas. And people are dying and reproducing or dying and the words, maybe new words are coming up, new context, new contextology. It's ironic that university is teaching contextology. It's not ironic. It's like, hello, right there in your face. How do you take the same thing and redress it and create a different context and pretend like it's separate when really it's the same fucking thing? I'm telling you, anyone that promotes death as an outcome where you're looking forward to leaving this earth because you're looking forward to leaving the wars and all the different horrible and people say, oh, I hate humanity. No, you hate imbalanced humans. But you shouldn't hate them at all because they're just imbalanced. There's a way they could rebalance their biochemistry and they wouldn't have those criminal deviant tendencies. But nobody thinks that they can change their biochemistry. So anyone that has an imbalance, they're going to denigrate. They're going to go and attack. Okay? And so, that is the true depopulation agenda. And so, yes, biotech is a cult. Yes, the ascension artists are looking forward to getting off this earth and going off into a different plane, another cult. Anyone that does not promote living on this earth in body, mind, and spirit in a balanced, peaceful way. Because before whatever came to be, and I wasn't here when the beginning of time, okay? But at some point, there was peace on this earth. At some point, now you can look at certain allegories in the Bible to say, okay, before Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, then, it was peaceful. But Adam and Eve weren't the only people living on this earth at that time. Where the hell do they come from? Okay, and then people have a speculation, oh, the Anunnaki and all this other stuff. But what I'm saying is there was a time when there was peace. And we only know of a certain amount of history based upon what was told to us and then a perception of time. And these perception of time is based upon the belief system, as far as the revolutions of the sun and of the earth around the sun and all that. And when you think about it, was like before Christ, 4 BC, was it really that long ago? When you realize that you hold the key to the beginning of time within you, because you came from an original, not from a parent. Yeah, you came from a parent, but that parent was also, a child of a parent, of a child, of a parent, of a child, and it goes on until you reach the original. And even that original was probably another, and that's what MLMs are, is there's like the top head, and then there's all these different downlines with so many different parents, originals, and their child, and their parent, and it keeps going down. So, but we came from an original, whatever, and was there a spontaneous original that happened, all over this earth? Was there a spontaneous original in Africa and England and Asia and I don't know, the Mediterranean, or did it happen in one place and then somehow they all kind of, I don't know, there was some kind of incest, but that just sounds yucky. So there had to have been spontaneous originals all over this earth, and then the diversity merged together and then evolved into who we are today. And then biomanipulations had then been given us so much diversity. And I still think that my dog is a crossbreed between a seal, a pig, and a dog. Because I'm telling you. And then she's able to evolve and adapt to this current conditions. And then, of course, when you breed, over and over again, pit bulls or any dog out there, when they are dying and reproducing all the time, then yeah, it's easy to breed a specific type of animal for a short amount of time. But if the animal is allowed to live indefinitely, they will definitely, be whatever they were, whatever the evolution and the adaptation calls for. Could we actually see what they originally were? No, because they were crossbred with different DNA. That you couldn't see the original DNA because that was like in the cell form. Okay? But the blueprint really is a blueprint of the dog, because it wasn't a blueprint of the seal. It wasn't a blueprint of the pig. Well, maybe it was a pig and a dog. Pig and a dog are very similar. And then you have a seal somewhere, so you can have some seal DNA. But she doesn't like the water, so maybe she doesn't have the seal DNA. Maybe she did. Or she could have some kind of like, anxiety around the water because she was introduced to water in a bad way before I had her. So I don't know. But she has her own issues. But anyways, but as I was saying, anyone that promotes leaving this earth in some way, shape, or form, accepting and embracing death at some point, loving the aging process, the disintegration process, they are part of a death cult. Because that's what it is. They're not promoting life in the truest sense. They're promoting a type of slow disintegration process. And then to speculate that if you do this procedure, it's going to buy you this many years. I'm telling you, when people did procedures way back a couple, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years ago, and maybe it bought them 20 years, Does that really mean it's going to buy you 20 years? No, you're in a different time. You have different biochemistry, really. You've been influenced by a different environment. You had probably a vastly different lifestyle and different habits. Okay, you can't possibly speculate that whatever procedure you're going to do is going to buy you this much time. That's the illusions that are being thrown at people in the medical holistic industry. Oh yeah, if you do turmeric and honey, it's going to buy you 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. If you do cannabis and chemotherapy, it's going to buy you 6 months or 8 months or 2 years or 10 years. There's no freaking way. They can kind of tell that if you are stronger than this other person who did the same procedure and they passed away, that you have a better chance at surviving a protocol or a surgical procedure. But even then, that's not 100% rocket science because there's so many factors involved. So, anyways, I'm going to go, but just understand, anytime you promote death, at some point, you're part of a death cult. Bye. Jay!